Yo, are we live? Let me just make sure we're live. I'm talking to freaking nobody.
I don't see the on air button. I feel like I typically see the on air button.
I don't see it. I don't see any button. Oh no, we are live. Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Hope you're all having a lovely insert day of the week. Wednesday. Hope you're all having a lovely Wednesday. Last night, I only placed one bet. Didn't even post it on the website or anything. It was just the Bucks under. And it ended up going over by like 8 points, but it went over with 9 seconds left. And then I turned it off, so there must have been a bunch of free throws in the last 9 seconds. Because I was looking and I was like, I could still push here with 9 seconds left. And that didn't happen. So, yeah, we got 2 NBA games tonight. Got the Hawks-Knicks in Madison Square Garden. And we also got Golden State, Houston. And then Andy and Toast are going to hop on for one game. It's not the greatest night for gambling at all. It's actually pretty freaking terrible. But we do have some Knicks basketball, so why don't we talk about it? I did upload a video last night going through these games. Let me check. Do we have an injury update for the Hawks? I have it right here.
Nope.
So I don't think anything's come out yet.
Bogdanovich and Jalen Johnson are still questionable. I'll tell you straight up, if those guys are playing, I'm hitting the Hawks. I might even hit Hawks money line if those guys are playing. The Hawks have won 6 games in a row with those guys on the floor. They missed the last game when their winning streak was snapped. Based on the way the Hawks are playing, their rebound in the last 10 games, they're top 5 in both offensive and defensive rebounding. And the Knicks are having a bit of a down year rebounding the basketball so far. They need Mitchell Robinson back in that department. But if those guys are playing, this should be a close game. Not to mention the Hawks have had a little bit more success on the road in New York than they have at home. They're 3-2 in their last 5 trips here to Madison Square Garden. So, in my opinion, this number's way too big if those two guys are playing. Now, there is a weakness here for the Hawks that the Knicks are definitely capable of exploiting. They're not the best perimeter defense. So the Knicks, who are a very efficient three-point shooting team so far in the season, especially in the last 10 games, the Knicks are going to have opportunities to shoot the three-point shot, and based on the way they've been shooting them, hey, if the Knicks shoot 55% from outside, they're going to blow them out. That being said, you could say that about a lot of basketball games, but the Knicks are going to have opportunities to hit outside shots and cover this number. But I think the Hawks are going to be scoring right back. So I can't believe the part that's so shocking is looking at these numbers. You can really make a case that the Hawks are going to win the rebounding battle on both sides of the court, which is crazy because last year the Knicks were the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. And now Hawks are top 5 in the last 10 games, and the Knicks are not. The Knicks are about average. And the Hawks have played a stronger schedule in that span. Now, some of the lesser teams the Knicks have played, like Toronto, can rebound a little bit. So, but yeah, if the Knicks aren't winning the battle on the glass, in my opinion, this is a back and forth game. I'd also lean towards the over with the total super high. If those guys are in, I'm down to throw some money on the Hawks. As of right now, I don't have a bet though. You guys?
Go ahead, Moda.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'll follow that up and then lead a player props for you. Right there with you, Kyle. I just need to see Bogdanovich in and Jalen Johnson in. I was looking at the numbers, some cleaning the glass numbers, like with Jalen Johnson specifically on the floor versus off the floor this year. And I mean, it's light years different. They're like a +2, like +2.5. So they're outscoring their opponents by about 2.5 points with him on the floor. Without him, they're like -12. So like it impacts the offense, it impacts the defense. He can stretch the floor, he can shoot the 3. He's also a very good facilitator. I think he's like second on the team in assists behind Trae Young. He actually averages more rebounds than Clint Capella. He's the number 1 rebounder on the team at like 10 per game. So you talking about them cleaning up on the offensive glass, Kyle, I need Jalen Johnson in order for that to happen. But with the cup, like this super big spread, I think Atlanta, we've been talking about this all season, guys. When we want to play Atlanta, it's never as a favorite. They're absolutely horrible as a favorite. I think they're like less than 30% as a favorite so far this season, but they have been profitable when they've been getting points, specifically 5-2 against the number as a road dog this season. They actually had back-to-back covers against the Bucks and the Cavs on the road specifically, but when you look at them overall, they covered that other game against the Cavs because they won that one in Cleveland as well. So very, very like weird team are the Hawks because they can take down the really good teams. They've beaten Boston. They're probably the only team in the NBA that's beaten Boston, that's beaten Milwaukee, that's beaten the Cavs twice, but also lost to the Wizards twice. So you never know what you're gonna get when you talk about the Atlanta Hawks. But the rebounding thing, I think, is astronomical, Kyle. And I think Trae Young being there, the villain that he is in New York, I'd only be taking the points. I just need to see Jalen Johnson and Bogdanovic in. And it's not a knock to the Knicks, because the Knicks are absolutely elite. Number 1 offense last 5 games. Number 2 in effective field goal percentage. You mentioned the 3-point shooting. They're the number 2 3-point shooting team at 45%. Atlanta's 3-point defense is not great. Atlanta also turns the ball over. That scared me a little bit. I don't know if you looked at that, but Atlanta's actually turned the ball over a little bit more. And the Knicks can force turnovers, like when they really want to. We saw what they did to Orlando, but Orlando is a team that can't score the basketball. So all in all, I'm with you, Kyle. I would be taking, what is this number now? 7.5, 8? I'll be taking the plus 8. I'll be taking it. It's the only way that I'm looking is plus the points in this spot right there with you, Kyle.
Yeah, it's at 8 pretty much everywhere. You could still get a juice 7.5 on ESPN bet. Modak?
So I got 2 in this one. Number 1, Jalen Brunson over 26.5 points. This one's definitely the scariest for sure. His scoring is down pretty significantly from last year. He's only hit this over in 8 of 24 games. Last year he did it in 42 of 72 regular season games. In the playoffs he was even better. Averaged 28.8 points per game last year, down to 25, just over 25 this year. So this isn't me saying anything other than his scoring is way down. It's just that this is the best matchup it could possibly be on paper for Jalen Brunson to score. Like, he scores, the majority of his points come as the pick and roll ball handler. The Hawks have literally the worst pick and roll defense in the entire NBA. They allow the most points per game to the pick and roll ball handler, on the most points per possession as well. And not only does Brunson, like I said, obviously he runs the most pick and rolls on the Knicks. He runs the 10th most in the NBA, and he scores the 6th most points per game as a pick and roll ball handler. From there, you just look at like the area of the floor where his shots come from. Majority of his points come from the above the break 3-pointer. The majority of those come from pulling up as opposed to catching and shooting. The Hawks are number 1, allow the most above the break and pull up 3-pointers in the NBA. It's like number 1 in all 3 categories. Obviously they're correlated, but this is the best matchup. So this is kind of like, if he doesn't score a lot in this game, then it's probably just not going to be a scoring year for Brunson. I think, myself included, we all need to recalibrate our expectations for him. But it's just the best matchup you can think of. On the other side of the ball, I have Trae Young, 12 plus assists. And I should say that Jalen Brunson number, you can actually get a better number. You can get plus 100 at ESPN Bet. So it's actually a little bit better. Trae Young is the same. This is just a play on the number. The last game Trae Young played, he had only 10 assists. He had 27 potential assists. 27 is crazy. The game before that against the Lakers, he had 20 assists on 28 potential assists. It's just crazy how much he's doing from the playmaking department. He's not scoring at all. And even if he does score in this game, we've seen him go like 30 and 12 in multiple games this year. So I'm not even scared off of people that like his points. I wouldn't scare me off of the assists. And depending on where you look, the Knicks are an above average to average matchup for point guard assist props. Each website categorizes point guards and stuff differently. According to a website called #NBA, the Knicks allow the 7th most assists per game to point guards over the last month. According to NBA.com, they allow the 2nd most assists specifically to guards. Now, NBA.com doesn't distinguish between point guard and shooting guard, so take that with a grain of salt. And then on the other side of the coin, props.cash says the Knicks give up the 13th fewest assists. So wide range. Either way, it's not a matchup that I'm completely scared of. He did miss this last time these two teams played, but he had 21 potential assists in that game. He's got about a 56% conversion ratio on the year and in the last 10 games. So there's nothing fluky about his assist numbers. He hit this in both games against the Knicks last year with 12 and 17. 12 is a huge number, but the potential assists he's putting up is absolutely absurd. So I'll gladly hit it.
Yeah, and you brought up Trae Young. That's if you rewind back to 2022 to the Trae Young Knicks, to the height of the Trae Young Knicks rivalry, he was scoring a lot of points, but that's really in the past. I mean, I put it in the video, his last 7 games against the Knicks, he's averaging just 19.7 points per game. So he's not exactly lighting the Knicks up. His last couple trips to Madison Square Garden, 19 points, 17 points. I mean, there's a 23-point game in there, 15, 18, 19. So he's not really lighting the Knicks up when he sees them. Like, if you rewind back to 2022, he had a couple big ones. He had like a 38 and a 43. That's where the narrative was born, like Trae Young versus the Knicks. Really, in terms of his scoring, that really hasn't been the case recently. So, yeah, 12-plus assists sounds cool. If you're looking for a player prop, I'd go one of those Hawks interior guys. Maybe even Ricochet. He takes a lot of shot attempts at the rim. I said this in the video. Okongwu, maybe one of their overs. Somebody that plays down low. All right, next game. Golden State, Houston. Golden State, Houston.
What does that mean?
That means one of these teams Team A has beaten Team B 15 straight. 15 straight. I mean, at what point is it just like, oh, one-sided rivalry? And at what point is this like felony abuse? Like, this is serious shit. 15. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Golden State Warriors have beaten the Houston Rockets 15 consecutive times. Damn it, the camera. God damn it. Hold on. I can't stand when I'm super low on the screen. I guess that works. So, yeah, 15 times in a row. Golden State has beaten Houston 15 times. Now, a majority of those 15 were when the Rockets were trash. This is the new-aged Rockets, right? This is a good team. I mean, they still beaten the New Age Rockets a few times also. So the New Age Rockets, not like they haven't had shots. I believe they just beat them a few days ago. So actually, I believe they beat them without Steph Curry on the floor. So Houston.
Twice. And they were dogs in both games. They beat them
twice without Steph this year?
They beat them twice without Steph this year. And they were dogs in both games. I didn't know. Beat them in Houston as well.
Yeah, the way I would look at this game, so if you already know if you watched the video I uploaded, but I like the matchup for both defenses, not just Golden State. Both these teams have been playing great defense. Both these teams struggling a little bit on the offensive end. Houston has been playing better basketball than Golden State, which is why they're laying here. Because you might be like, what? They beat them 15 times in a row. How would Houston be favored? It's because they've been literally playing better basketball than Golden State recently. Houston, I think, is like 10-3 against the spread in their last 13, 11-2 straight up, something like that. Rockets have been killing it. But this is their Achilles heel, man. This is their white whale. They just can't beat this team. Not to mention Golden State, one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Houston, like I said, they have been struggling offensively. I think it'll be a defensive game. It should be low scoring. I would point at Golden State. You could put Warriors up for me. The way I would play this one is either Golden State plus the points, money line, or Houston team total under. Maybe it would probably be quick math, probably be at 112.5. So like maybe a Houston team total under 112.5. In fact, maybe I'll play that because both these teams, not only have both these defenses been much better than the offenses, but both these teams in the last 5 games have slowed the pace down a bit. On the season, these two teams, I believe, are 10th and 13th in pace. But if you isolate it to just the last 5 games, they're like 15th and 22nd. So both of them seem to be slowing it down a bit. So I would go Golden State or Houston team total under. Oh, also, Rockets like to get out in transition and run a lot of pick and rolls. I believe they're 9th and 11th in frequency in those two play types. Happens to play directly into the strength of the Warriors defense. They're top 5 against both. So the Warriors should be able to play some great defense tonight. Houston might play great defense might right back. If the Rockets win this one, I think it'll be lower scoring. So Houston team total under, Golden State.
And I like full under, Kyle, for a lot of the things that you mentioned. But the things that you didn't mention is that Houston has been excellent rebounding the basketball on the offensive side. Actually, the number 2 offensive rated rebounding team over the last 5 games. But they can't score. They're 28th in effective field goal percentage over the last 5 games. That actually plays the rebounding. Their offensive rebounding actually plays right into what Golden State does. They're a small team. They don't get a ton of defensive rebounds, but they are actually number 1 in limiting opponent offensive rebounds. And then you mentioned, 3-point shooting. Houston has really struggled. They're 25th in frequency, 25th in accuracy last 5 games. Golden State, I think defensively for this game will get up. And it's been their offense, the Golden State's offense that's been struggling. They're 8-2 to the under in their last 10 games because they haven't really been able to score the basketball. Houston, one of the big reasons why they're so good at home in Houston is because they play defense. One of the better defensive teams at home specifically. I think they're like 9-3 in that spot. And then you mentioned all the other stuff too, Kyle. The transition frequency, the transition defense for the Golden State side of things. They don't give up a ton of offensive rebounds, where Houston loves to, go down there and attack the glass on the offensive end. And then Sengun, if he doesn't play or if he's limited, because I know he's listed as questionable, that's a whole lot more offense that you're missing. So I expect Houston to do a little bit better job in this game of protecting the rim, because when Steph didn't play the other day and Draymond didn't play in Golden State, it was just, I don't know if people watched that game, but it was literally Wiggins and Kuminga at the rim over top of Sengun's head, like boom, just dunking every single time. So I expect them, Ime Udoka to pull out some kind of trick out of his hat. We got to remember, Ime was the coach that took Boston to the finals a couple years ago and lost to this Golden State team. So, he got to have a couple tricks up his sleeve. Probably didn't want to show his hand too much in the last game because they already knew that they were going to play each other when the teams did face off. I lean Golden State, didn't play it, but I like the under a little bit more than anything else. Under 222.5, I think, is out there right now.
Guys, for the people in the comments saying the word like trap and bait, that's not how it works. The market is just a reflection of where the sharp action. So if you're saying you think Golden State should be favored here and you think this is a suspicious line, that just means there's sharp money coming in on the other side balancing the market. They're not, these sports books are not run by Miss Cleo, I promise. It's very simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it. They're not trying to trick you. If the line is off of where you think it is, that means there is sharp money on the other side that's balancing the market and putting it there. That's why. I promise it's no wizard shit. It's not that serious. Modai.
Şengün over 5.5 assists. You can get that right now, -110, so it hasn't changed a ton. So this is another kind of play on the number. He's been really, really good as a playmaker recently. He's hit this number in 5 of his last 7 games. In both games, he went under. He had exactly 5 assists, which would have been a brutal hook. But in both of those games, he had 15 potential assists in one game. He had 12 in the other. So if you're telling me that like he's going to get, and I should say in the last 7 games, he's averaging over 13 potential assists as well. So if you're telling me he's going to get 13, which is what he's averaging in the last 7 games, like I'll gladly take for him to get to 6. And the Warriors, again, it depends where you look on what site. They're either extremely juicy to a mildly juicy matchup for center assist props. #NBA has them as allowing the 7th most per game. Props.cash in both Fantasy Pros have them allowing the 4th most. And NBA.com doesn't even give you that data. For whatever reason, they don't have how centers perform against the Warriors. So the only team omitted from that data. I don't know why. Regardless, if you dig into it, it kind of makes sense why the Warriors are a good matchup for assist props. They allow the 7th fewest points per game to pick and roll rollman, and the 7th fewest points per game via post-ups. How else do centers score? A lot of them score rolling or via post-ups. Some of them score off cuts and stuff like that. But the majority of them, that's how they score. But the Warriors allow the 2nd most points off of spot-ups and the 5th most catch-and-shoot 3-point attempts. Those are generally assisted plays. 2 games ago, these 2 teams played. This was one of the games in which Şengün did go under. But again, he had 12 potential assists in that game. I'll gladly take 12 potential assists if he just needs to have a 50% hit rate to cash it out. That's kind of what I mean by playing the number. Like I'm just looking at his potential assists, how he's been playmaking recently. I think over 5.5 is a bad price, and I'll take advantage of it.
Şengün over 5.5 assists. All right. That's it for NBA. Just 2 games. Toast and Andy are going to come on and talk about one single college basketball game. We got a lot of heat here. Make sure you check out these 2 guys' YouTube channel. Obviously, it's a slow week, but starting Friday, we'll be back in action. Got another NFL video coming. Actually, just uploaded one 45 minutes ago. Stuff coming up. So, everyone, thanks for watching. Toast and Andy are coming on now.
See you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, all you mighty fine people out there. Andy, good afternoon, sir. I can't hear you. Are you unmuted?
I was, but I hadn't said a word yet either.
There we go. Good to see you, Andy. How are you today?
Good to see you. Oh, I'm great. How are you?
Life, man. Life. Anyway, this one game, I do have a couple other plays that we can briefly go over, but this, like Kyle said, this is like a pretty shitty week for as far as gambling as a whole. This is final week for college basketball, so you might get 1 or 2 games decent a day, but that's pretty much it. So anyway, the first game and only game we have on board, UTEP, Louisville. I do want to point out that our boy Scoop is on UTEP plus the points. I just want to throw that out there. Andy, what are your thoughts? Because I kind of felt like my initial thought was I feel like people are going to see this UTEP line and take them because Louisville hasn't looked great. But I feel like this line is large for a reason. What are your thoughts?
Quite literally exactly how I feel. It's definitely it's definitely high for a reason, but also I know Louisville's undermanned, but their size advantage in this game, their pace advantage in this game, that's still there. Like That's how they're playing. So I think the style doesn't work here for UTEP. They're going on the road. That's also a tough thing. Louisville's not the easiest place to play when you're the lesser team. The only thing that could catch up to Louisville is they're undermanned. Maybe they fade late, but I don't see it happening. There's a significant talent advantage here. I know that what people see with Louisville, and it's kind of what I've been saying, is, well, they're a team that only shoots three-pointers. They're 97th in point distribution based on three-pointers. So they're only, like, a lot of their scoring is coming from three-pointers, but they're not really that good of a three-point shooting team. But they've played a pretty tough schedule in those games. I mean, they've had West Virginia. They had Indiana was the game where they went ballistic from three. So they've had tough games in there. So there's no doubt that they faced much better than UTEP to this point. So that's probably why their numbers are where they are. So, I mean, I would lean Louisville. I would bet Louisville here. I have other bets that I like more, but the games weren't worthy. I mean, the games are not worthy tonight to talk about, really. But, yeah, I definitely would like Louisville here.
Yeah, my same thing. First of all, Louisville has played a top 15 schedule in the country. UTEP's coming in at 175. I also feel, as far as Louisville's concerned, I do feel like they are defensively, I feel like they're a little bit undervalued. I mean, they have played some extremely good offenses. I mean, Tennessee, a top 10 offense, Duke, a top 13, Mississippi, 14, Oklahoma, 37, Indiana and West Virginia, both of those teams in the top 65 teams. Indiana's top 45, 44 it is now that it loads. So again, now seeing this UTEP team that's 212 in offensive efficiency, I do think it's a little bit of a step down in class. Again, for Louisville, they haven't really been fantastic as far as if you look at their numbers, like guarding the three. I don't really know how much stock I can put into that, considering the teams that they've played. But Andy also mentioned UTEP has shot really well from deep. They're top 50. They're almost shooting 40% as a team. But at the same time, when you see the defenses that UTEP has faced, especially against the three-pointers, I mean, they face some pretty bad competition, not to mention the fact that Louisville, nothing special, but they're overall defensively, they're a top 30 team. And the other thing is the pace. Andy talked about it. UTEP hasn't seen a team offensively with the pace that Louisville's seen, and it's really not even close. Louisville's not even a super fast team. They're top 75 in pace, but they're playing, as far as UTEP is concerned, playing teams like Seattle at 279, UNC Greensboro at 308, Long Beach State 330, San Jose State 347, UC Santa Barbara 249. Now they're playing a Louisville team, like I said, that's 75th, that wants to get out and run. I didn't play this game. I guess I lean UTEP because I don't really agree with Louisville being this big of a favorite. Not to mention Louisville does have some turnover problems, and the UTEP's defense on KenPom is the number one defense as far as turning teams over. So, and they shoot free throws well. Everything matches up for UTEP. Everything makes sense. I just felt like this number was big for a reason, but Andy mentioned it as well. The height and experience also gets to Louisville, and this is going to be their third game now without playing with Pryor. And they, again, not that they are winning games, but I would say that Mississippi and Duke are a much better competition than UTEP. Also, I will say I don't really love this spot for Louisville either. They have Kentucky on deck. It is what it is. But again, I didn't play it, but I definitely would lean with the points. It's really hard. But again, my original statement, I feel like this number was high. That's why I didn't bet UTEP, or high for a reason. That's why I didn't bet UTEP. So that's it for the one game. Andy, do you have any other couple ads you have? Honestly, I don't even see your card. I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I have two tonight. I like Green Bay plus 5.5. I don't know how you felt about that one. I
played it.
I know they've kind of become a meme, but I honestly think that it's a pretty good spot for them. They can shoot, and they want to shoot. They're not necessarily great at it, but they're facing a team that's faced much lesser competition than them. They've gone up. Green Bay, I got to give Doug Gottlieb credit. They've played a pretty tough schedule this year for a team that he kind of just put together on the fly. He has no coaching experience either, so they've played a pretty tough schedule regarding all that. And I plus 5.5 at home tonight. I think that's a rivalry game. I think that's going to end within one possession. And I also one more. I have Southeast Louisiana under 144. Both teams' offenses are terrible. I didn't realize Louisiana hasn't even won a game yet. They're a pretty big program. Not winning a game yet to this point is pretty bad. So they're actually favored in that game too. Thought that was a little crazy, but I just think I think points are going to be at a premium, as you would say.
That's one of my favorite sayings. I played Green Bay as well. The only thing I can add is they're getting like one of their best players, or if not their best player, in Anthony Waugh or Roy. I don't know if you call it Waugh or Roy because of Waugh in hockey. I always say Waugh, but Anthony, he's back. I think that helps. I think that helps a lot. I also played Cal Baptist against San Diego State. San Diego State, obviously a very good team, but I kind of feel like this is a little bit of a down spot. Shot quality has them playing a little bit higher than they really are playing. I think they have a shot. They're 5-2, but their shot quality record's 2-5. Shout out to my boy Max for giving me that stat. So, I just felt like Cal Baptist getting 15.5 was too many. I also played Delaware State minus 3.5 against NGIT. It's at 5 now. I would not play it at 5. So I also played over in Dartmouth and Notre Dame minus 140 as well. I don't see a lot of stops in that game.
Against the Highlanders, interesting.
Yeah, I just felt like there's not going to be a lot of stops in that
They
game.
suck. NJIT is terrible.
Yeah, them too. Yes, 100%. So, absolutely terrible. They made money for me like a couple years ago for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They had a game the other day against Navy. I don't remember what happened, but they had one against Cleveland State that I wish I could have bet because they were like dogs against Cleveland State. They could win that game. They only lost by 1, but they would have covered.
not against Cleveland State. They didn't win or close. Or no, wait, you talking about Green Bay?
No, NJIT.
Oh, NGIT. Yeah. That was a close game. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, NGIT. Yeah, that was a close game against Cleveland State. They also beat Morehead State, which is kind of random. Not that Morehead State's like super good, but anyway. So that's it for us today. Beaver, take us home.
All right. That is all. I saw some Will Disley comments. Have some fucking class. The guy got injured, okay? You think Stone Smart is getting 2 20-plus yard receptions after Disley gets hurt for no reason? No. Disley would have shit out those receptions. So just wanted to address those. You people have no class. Dissing a injured prop. Go fuck yourselves. We'll see you on the midnight stream, and I hope everybody has a great day. Best of luck with your bets.